Okay. My name is Jeremy Cook. I'm a certified financial planner. John and I were here last week presenting the first part of this exiting your business and retirement planning webinar. He talked about succession planning and planning to sell the business or exit the business someday and how you might go about doing that. So I'll let John introduce himself really quickly, and then we'll get started.
Welcome. My name is John Mabb. I'm a financial planner. I've been a financial planner since 2005. Prior to this, I worked in a family business for many years. And as part of the family business, I helped manage about 100 employees. And so what really got me interested in financial planning is I watched business owners making decisions and not always working with experts to help them. And so I saw some gaps in their planning strategies. And so I wanted to make sure that I could take the knowledge I had as working in a family small business to the small business owners that I work with. And so that's a little bit of background about myself. So there you go, Jeremy.
Thanks, John. I can't believe it, but I've been doing this for 15 years now. John's been doing it a little longer. We've been together probably 10 plus years, something like that. So here's our contact information. If you want to have some follow-up with us, feel free to reach out by email or give us a call. Just a little bit of disclosure, we do not provide any tax or legal advice. We do provide investment advice and financial planning, insurance coverage. But if you need any tax or legal advice, you should consult your own tax or legal advisors. So today I want to start out with a poll question about retirement planning. And I want to see how many people here have actually started a retirement plan. So let me launch this here. So if you would just take a second and respond to the poll question, do you have a retirement plan? All right, let's see what we got here. We got 4 people here. All right, 4 people is great. So we got 25% is written, and everyone else is either started, not completed, or haven't started at all. So today, hopefully we can motivate you to take a little bit of action. Something I always tell people is, if you have a goal, it's only a wish until it's written down. So whoever wrote their retirement plan, they're on their way. Writing it down and making a solid plan is critical to having success in retirement planning. Now, if you ask a business owner, which I believe everyone on here is a business owner of some kind, what their retirement plan is, most of them will say, my business. That is my retirement plan. And if you can see the statistics on the screen, 80% of business owners have more than 90% of their wealth tied to their business. 65% have less than 500,000 in any type of retirement account. And 57% have not built enough value in their business to be able to exit their business. So when you think about wanting to leave or wanting to retire one day, how are you going to fund that? Like, how are you going to have enough money or income or assets to be able to pay for your retirement lifestyle? Let me go to my next poll question, actually. I want to see how you guys are going to fund your retirement. All right, here we go. So how are you going to fund your retirement? Are you going to fund it from the sale of your business? Are you going to fund it from outside investments and the sale? Only outside investments? Or maybe you don't know. All right, we're getting a few here. Give you another couple seconds to answer. Couple people don't have any idea. That's great. It's a good thing you're on this webinar. All right, I'm going to end this and share some results. So here you go. Here's the results of our poll. How will you fund your retirement? Investments outside my business and the sale of my business. That is the best answer you probably could have given, which means a lot of you are doing it right. John and we talk to a lot of business owners who, when we ask them the question, how are you going to fund your retirement income when the business isn't providing you income anymore? And they just say, well, it's going to be my business. That's going to be where I'm going to get all of my worth. All of my income will come from the sale of my business. And it's not always the case. So I'm glad that a lot of you have investments outside of your business. And for those of you who don't, well, we'll talk about ways you can do that today. Let me stop sharing that real quick. So are you confident that your business is going to provide for you? So here's some more statistics about retirement savings of business owners. 81% save less than $25,000 a year, which is sort of the maximum amount you can save in most retirement accounts. 58% have less than $200,000 put into retirement savings vehicles. And from a survey that MassMutual did for people who are trying to value their business through a valuation service, there's about 800 businesses here. The average value of that was 2.6 million. So the question is, if you're not saving money anywhere else, is 2.6 million going to fund a 20 or 30 year retirement? Maybe it funds you for 10 or 20 years, but 30 years, people living into their 100s is the fastest growing age segment these days. So are you going to have enough to last you for your entire lifetime? So when the business is your retirement plan, there's some things you really got to think about. Are you going to receive the full value of that business when it comes to a sale? Or are your children, if they're going to take over, they're willing to pay you a salary for the rest of your life? Or if you're going to sell it to new owners, are they going to run the business successfully so that they can complete the payments to you on that buyout? And if you don't know the answer to those questions, you may be forced to delay your retirement or never really be able to exit the business. Or maybe you have to come back in because the new owners don't run it well, and so they're not able to pay you, and you've got to kind of rescue them. Or the worst case scenario, which nobody wants to do, which is accept a lower standard of living. So we want to help you avoid any of these scenarios by thinking ahead, planning ahead. Your business, it may be your largest asset. And for most business owners, it really is their largest asset, their largest amount of net worth. But it should not be your only retirement plan. Your entire plan should not revolve just around your business. So let's think about, before we go through 5 steps about retirement planning for your business, let's think about the type of business owner that you are, the way you think about your business in general. There's typically 2 types. There's a lifestyle business owner or a value growth business owner. And lifestyle business owners are people who the income that the business is providing is sufficient for them to provide the lifestyle that they want. And that's kind of all they're really focused on. Versus a value kind of business owner is somebody who's thinking, okay, I'm going to generate a business that produces income, but also I can sell it for the highest amount later on and have an exit. So retirement planning, it's got three legs of the stool. First, focus on your business and maximizing the value that you're going to be able to get from the sale of that business. Second, you're going to want to put yourself in a financial position personally so that you're not reliant on that business in the future. And then finally, you want to have a plan for what you're going to do with your time later on when you're not working in the business. Because I know most business owners that we talk to, I mean, they're putting in a lot of time, a lot of effort, a lot of energy into their business. And if you don't have that anymore, what are you going to spend your time on? So here's sort of a chart between the differences of what kind of business owner you are. So in the chat, if you want to put in the chat, what kind of business owner mindset do you have? Are you the lifestyle kind of guy who, okay, it's providing me the income I need, it affords me my lifestyle, you know, I might die at my desk one day, you know, if I can't support myself, I can't ever exit the business. You know, the valuation, they view valuation as a equation, you know, it's 2 times my revenue, 3 times my revenue. And the way that they value that is typically like emotionally based. What they perceive the value to be worth. Where a growth person, a value growth person, is somebody who is looking at how can I make this business work when I'm not here, and that builds the saleable value of that asset. You know, how can I easily transfer this for the highest value possible? And you focus sometimes on the intangibles, on the key operational drivers of value. And then you focus on what do you have to make that business worth to maintain your income later on in retirement. So if you want to look at the chat, you know, put in lifestyle or value. What do you think you are? Okay, we got a little of both. We got value, we got someone who wants to be a value growth. Yeah, that's good. You want to try to change your mindset a little bit. If you're looking at retirement planning, you want to change from a lifestyle to an enterprise value, to really building the business into something that could generate value for you later on. Okay. It's good. Yeah, value, growth, business owner. All right. So here's some things we'll talk about today. We'll go through some simple steps for retirement planning as a business owner. We're going to talk about having a clear picture, having a vision of what retirement's going to look like for you later on, and writing down your goals. Then we're going to determine the income value of your business. Well, we're not going to do that today, but we're going to talk about how you can do that. Understanding how your exit strategy could impact that retirement income. Know the different types of savings vehicles that are available, of how you can put money outside the business and carve something out to build up assets that's not tied to your business. And then documenting your roles and responsibilities if you plan to continue receiving income or continuing in the business even after a sale or a, you know, quote unquote exit. All right, let's talk about, I'm going to put up another poll question here. When are you going to retire? So let me load that in here. All right, here we go. How many years before you are going to be retired? You got less than 2, you got 3 to 5, 5 to 10, more than 10 years. You can just take a quick second, answer that poll question, kind of give an idea of where everybody is at. Still need a few more people to answer here. All right, I'm going to close this out and share it with you. All right, so we've got nobody's on the cusp. I think in our last workshop that we did, we had a bunch of people that were like within a year, within 2 years, but it looks like everyone here is 3 years or longer. So that's great. This is actually a great time for you to start making a plan. If you were within 12 months or within 2 years, I mean, yeah, you need to make a plan, but you should have been doing this 5 years ago. So for all of you on the webinar here, you've got the time to start making a plan. Now, I know the math on the screen here on this slide it's fuzzy math because it's statistics. I don't know how many of you took statistics back in college, but that was like fuzzy math. So there's a little bit of fuzzy math here. 20% of business owners, they say they're going to retire in the next 5 years. 62% says they would exit when the right buyer comes along. 60% said they'd exit sooner if they were financially secure, if they were assured that their finances were in order. 48% say they're emotionally ready to get out, but not financially. So that means 83% haven't really set a timeline for their exit. Okay, I gotta get this to move. Yeah, there we go. All right. So what do you plan to do after you leave the business? If you want to put it in the chat, share with everybody. What are you going to do? If you leave your business, what are you going to do? Are you going to work for someone else, start a different business? Are you going to retire, travel, do charitable plans? Tell us what you're thinking of. Like, if I'm not working on my business every single day, what do I want to do with my time? Someone says do everything except work for someone else. Yeah, I believe that. You've been your own boss for a lot of years. It's tough to work for somebody else. Travel, charitable, travel. I want to do that too. Charitable activities, travel. Anyone have something really interesting they want to do after retirement? You'll have all this time that you don't have today. What will you do with that time? I would like to travel. There's a lot of places I would like to go see. I also like to do a lot of service, a lot of charitable things personally.
Hey, Jeremy.
Yeah.
So reason why this is important is because knowing what you want to do later helps you really develop your plan. And so if you take the time to really think about what your goals are, hey, I want to do this, it helps you understand how much do I need to spend? How much do I need to save? When you don't have a general idea, you may show up in retirement and say, oh, I wish I had more money. And that's the last thing we want you to do, is sit there and think, I can't do what I want to do now because I don't have enough money. So having that general idea of what type of lifestyle, what type of goals you have really is going to make a difference in helping you really develop a good, solid plan.
That's exactly right. I used to, when I started the business and we used to give these presentations, we'd have these slides, the first couple of slides, like it was quite a few, probably like 5 or 6 slides that were about envision your retirement and think about the future. And I always thought, oh, this is fluff. Like, everybody's here for the numbers. Everyone wants to just crunch the numbers, talk about investments, talk about how they're going to build wealth. But over time, I've realized that those are the most important things. Like, those are the things that emotionally drive us. They're our value system. It's what we care about. And if we get to retirement and we're not able to do those things, well, it's not going to be the retirement that we want. It's not going to be the lifestyle that we want. And so you're absolutely right, John. Envisioning this up front, and the sooner you do it, the better. Then figuring out, what is that going to cost to do all of these things that I want to do? And if you're charitably inclined, how much more can you give if you've done better planning? Okay, that poll come off of there. Yeah. So business owners, we love our businesses. We work in them day in, day out. They're our little babies, right? How do we let go of that? What does it mean to have a successful retirement, a successful exit? You might want to put together a written re-engagement plan. Okay, like what are you going to invest your time and your energy and your talents into? You know, if you're an entrepreneur, it's hard to give up your business, and maybe you don't, maybe you do another business or something that's a little bit different. But how do you develop all of these things outside of your business when you're putting so much time and effort in your business today? It's a little bit tough, but the sooner you do that, the easier it will be to let go down the road. You'll want to develop a plan to achieve financial independence, a realistic plan, and it's got to be written. That's what John and I spend a lot of time doing with clients, is sitting down, developing goals, making a realistic written plan of how you're going to fund all of these things that you want to do in retirement down the road. Communicate with your family, with key employees about when you're going to exit, how you're going to exit, and let your successor do things their own way. It might be kind of hard, right? This is your baby. This is what you've spent all your time working on and building. But you want to be able to let go. Oops, I just skipped that page. And then set a date and stick to it. Probably a difficult thing. You know, it's probably the first question I ask my clients when I sit down with them and I say, well, when do you want to retire? And after all of them say today or tomorrow, realistically, they've never given it a lot of thought. You know, they never put a date on it and say, I'm 62 is it, or 65 is it, or, you know, this is the date that I'm going to do it, and then working towards it. If you never put that date on there, well, then you never really have to do anything to work towards it. So have a plan for letting go. John talked about this a little bit last week, but business valuations. Now, John and I don't really do business valuations per se for our clients. You might want to hire a company, or we can help you do a basic kind of valuation. But half say that they've had their businesses valued, but 1 in 4 say they did it themselves. And so you may not really know that true value of your business. I shared last week that I have a client who thought their business was worth quite a bit, thought it was worth almost $2 million, something like that. But we went through a formal valuation process. And because of the way that they were accounting for things and money that they were using from the business for personal expenses, it sort of muddied all the waters. And the valuation company came up with like somewhere between $500,000 and $700,000 for the business. And that was an eye-opening shock for him, you know, and luckily he's got 7 years to fix it, to fix how he's accounting for things, fix working on his business instead of in his business, you know, working on creating value there with human capital, customer capital, structural capital. By putting intangibles into his business, it could really increase the value of what he was doing, and then he'll get a much higher value, what he was expecting that he would get down the road. But there was a lot of work that needed to go in year after year. We're not going to go deep into any of these today. John talked a little bit about them before, but different approaches to evaluating your business, book value, market value, you know, the asset value of what you own, liquidation value if you were just sell everything. But the value that we want to talk about today is, what is the income replacement value of your business? So income replacement value, what are all of the cash compensation and other benefits that are creating your personal lifestyle that come from that business? Your salary, pension or profit sharing plans, employee benefits, that's a big one, right? The insurance policies that you're paying for through the company. Maybe you've got your cars all paid for, your travel and your meals are all paid for from the company. Maybe there's rent being paid to your real estate entities. So there's a whole bunch of things that your business is providing and paying for that won't be there when you leave or exit or sell that business. And so you need to take these things into account when you're thinking about what's the cost of my lifestyle, the true cost of my lifestyle, and how much money does my business have to be worth to replace that lifestyle? All right. So income replacement value, it's about what you need the business to be worth versus what you think it's worth. 72% of business owners don't believe that their exit is going to impact their lifestyle. It probably will for the majority of people. Whoops. If John and I were sitting down with you and we're trying to help you plan out your retirement, on a conservative basis, we're gonna have you take the value, whatever value you think it is, and take that by a multiplier of somewhere between 3% and 5% to generate income every year, to replace the income of the value of your business, to generate income for you in retirement. So if my business was $2 million and I wanted to be really conservative and I used a 3% number, well, that's $60,000 a year. And is $60,000 a year going to be enough to replace the lifestyle that you've come accustomed to as a business owner? Or $60,000 to $100,000 a year, right? And so if you're thinking about it in those terms, is there going to be a big impact to your lifestyle? Some of those benefits that you might be getting from your business, like the health insurance and the profit sharing and the vehicle and travel, those things alone might be $60,000 of benefits that you're taking from the business. So how do you fund if there's a gap there? And I'll tell you, the majority of the time that we do this with business owners, there's going to be some kind of a gap. So what do you do to fund that gap? Well, start soon. Start taking a portion of those profits and investing outside of your business. I know it's hard because most business owners, they want to take their money, they want to take their earnings and reinvest it, right back into the business, try to grow the business, which is smart, right? Growing the value of that business. But you need to carve something off outside, right? Start saving money outside the business. This is a common mistake that John and I see for most business owners, right? And the statistics earlier, where the majority of business owners have less than $200,000 saved outside of their business. The sooner you start this, the better, right? Taking some of the profits, putting them into some sort of outside savings plan or outside investment.
Hey, Jeremy, real quick on this. I mean, I'm working with a business owner right now, and he was super excited. He's a young business owner. He's in his late 30s, mid 30s area. And he makes about between 500 and $1 million a year from his business. Very successful business. And so he was super excited to say, hey, I got a $10 million offer. And he's like, I don't know if I can turn this down for my business. And I looked at him and I said, well, that's great. So what are you going to do when after 10 to 20 years, when that's all that's the income you would have received? You're 30, say he's 35, by 45, he could have made $10 million and then sold his business. And that would have pushed it out a little bit farther. So it was a way that I had to work with him to help him understand is you're too young to sell it for that little unless you're going to work somewhere else. So if you want to retire now at 35, this won't work. And he needed more years of what you're discussing now is putting other monies away to supplement what the business is. So timing is so important. So really understanding is what am I getting out of the business versus what am I going to receive? What am I getting out of the business each year versus what I'm going to sell it for really helps kind of put that in play.
Yep, for sure. So and the longer that you have to do it, the more years you have to put it away, the easier it becomes to hit these numbers and hit these goals. right? So start now, right? And we'll talk about some of the ways you can do it through retirement savings vehicles, which gives you a big tax deduction, which is what every business owner wants to hear. I had a business owner that his tax deduction every year was buying a new truck. And I was like, you're spending like $50,000 or $60,000 on a new truck that you really don't need. He's like, yeah, but I get to write it all off. And then I looked at him and said, okay, well, what if you could put $50,000 or $60,000 into a retirement account, get the same write-off, but then not have an asset that's depreciating in value every year? And he just kind of looked at me like, oh, I didn't know I could do that. So we'll talk about some of the steps you can take to do that for yourself. Personal financial plan. Great thing to do. I don't care if you're 20 years from retirement or you're 5 years from retirement, map it out, write it down. First step, what is your spending in retirement going to be? And you look at it in today's dollars, right? You say, if I was retired today and I'm envisioning the things that I want to do and the lifestyle I want to live, how much is that going to cost me? Then map out what age you want to do that and how long you think you may live. Look at your life expectancy, look at your parents, your grandparents, map it out. Typically our plans, we do to age 95, which is deliberately longer than normal life expectancy, but man, a lot of people are living to be 95. So take that into account. Look at inflation, which right now is terrible, but long-term historical inflation is about 3%. Can your investment rate of return and whatever you're putting your money into outpace inflation? Can it outpace the future cost of healthcare? And then what are your funds going to be available from Social Security, or maybe you have a pension, or maybe you have some kind of inheritance. So putting all these pieces together in a financial plan, mapping it out, and then John and I can click a few buttons after we put all this information in here and say, okay, this is going to work with a 80% certainty or a 90% certainty, or maybe you're at 10% and there's a lot of things you got to do to make it work. And we can plug in the value of your business and what it might sell for in an installment sale or just in a lump sum. And you can really see, okay, I can make my retirement work if I do this, this, and this, and put together a plan and make steps and progress towards that plan. So if you get anything out of today, start writing some things down. Make a list, make some goals. Okay, so you're going to exit your business one day, right? And that's going to be a big chunk of this retirement plan that you're putting together. Well, how are you going to do it? Are you going to sell it to a partner? Are you going to sell it to the employees through an ESOP, an employee stock ownership plan? Are you just going to liquidate the whole thing? Sell all the assets for what they're worth and nobody's going to take it over? Are you going to give it to the children? Are you going to give it to sell it to another employee or some other third party? And so this is kind of statistics on how their business owners today are planning to exit the business. If you want to put it in the chat, how do you guys plan to exit your business one day? Because this could really impact your retirement down the road, the way that you end up selling the business. So if you want to put it in the chat real quick, let's have a discussion on it. We got a transfer to the children. We got a business partner right now who brought his son into the business. And I think it's going to work out great for him. Sale to a third party. Work till we die. We got to work till we die. It's your choice, right? Anyone else want to tell me how they're going to exit that business one day? Service businesses don't have tangibles, right? So you got to groom somebody to take it over. So depending on what strategy you're going to take to exit the business, that may shrink your gap or it might widen your gap. So thinking about the way you're going to exit this business can have a big impact on what retirement income you can provide. So For example, if you transition it to the next generation, will it be a cashless transaction? And are they going to put you on payroll and they're going to pay you? Are your children just going to pay you for the rest of your life? Can they run the business successfully if you're not in the business? A lot of things to consider when you're transferring it to children. Sell it to employees. Do they have enough cash to buy it out? Or is this just going to be, they're going to pay you for a long time, a 7-year or a 10-year installment buyout? And if that's the case, are they going to run the business well enough to continue to be able to make those payments? If you sell to a third party, that's probably the best, well, I don't know best, but it's the quickest and easiest. Like, they're going to get a loan, you're going to get paid up front. But how long is it going to take to find a buyer? And is your business really just that transferable? You could just sell it to somebody else and you don't have to be there anymore. So a lot of things to consider when you're looking at the sale of a business. All right, this is a great spot. We're going to spend a good amount of time on where you could put your money today to start saving and investing outside of your business. So think about, what do you want out of a retirement savings plan? Do you want your employees to benefit from a plan where they put money into their own retirement accounts? Do you want something that attracts new talents? Having a 401k sometimes is a deal breaker to get the best talent. If you don't have one, or you do have one, or some other type of retirement savings vehicle in your business. Do you need tax deductions? As the business owner, are you looking for some way to reduce your taxable income now and grow that money tax deferred later? And do you want something that's very easy to administer? So let's talk about some of the retirement savings vehicles. These are the vehicles that are for most businesses that have like 20 employees or less. From the mom and pop up to maybe 20, maybe a few more than that. But these are the types of savings vehicles that you can look at. And actually, I'm going to put up a poll question here. What types of retirement saving vehicles have you used to save for retirement? So let's get some answers to this poll question. I want to see what people have used in the past to accumulate some wealth. All right, we got about half of you answering so far. If we can get the rest of you to pop in an answer here. I'll give you a couple more seconds here. We got simplified employee pension plans, also known as SEP IRAs, simple IRAs, savings instead of match plan, simple 401k, solo 401k, defined benefit. I might take a drink. All right, I'm going to close this out. Share it with everybody. So it looks like everybody who answered has used some kind of a 401k, which is probably the most widely used retirement plan out there. So let's talk about some of these other options and what they are and how they work. Let me close this poll down. All right, so let's talk about a SEP IRA. I think one person said that they've used a SEP IRA in the past. So a simplified employee pension plan. This type of plan would allow you to contribute a percentage of your income, taxable wage income, into a retirement plan up to $58,000 in 1 year, or 25% of your income. So if you made $100,000 or you paid yourself $100,000 from the business, you could do 25,000, but you could do 25% of that, of your income, into a simplified employee pension plan. The downside of that is you also have to make that same percentage contribution for your employees. So if you are a business that has a bunch of employees, it may be very costly to run that type of a plan. But if it's just, one or two, or, you and your wife and one other, that might be a really great way to put some money away. Especially if there's a big wage gap between the wages that you have and the wages of your employees. You might not feel so bad putting 10% of your employees' pay into something for them. A simple IRA. These are designed for employers with less than 100 employees. And you can put up to $13,500 into this as a deferral. The business owner has a couple of choices for the employees. So the business owner does not have to put money in for every single employee like the SEP IRA plan does. You get a choice of, you can do a match. So for each employee that is going to contribute, you're going to do a matching contribution for them, 3% for 3%. Or you could choose to say, I want to do 2% for everybody. All my employees are going to get a 2% contribution, whether they are going to participate or not. Okay, so it's kind of like a 401k plan, but it's got a little bit lower amounts that you can put in, and it's much more simple to administer. The simple 401k is kind of like the simple IRA, except you can get a little bit higher contribution amounts in there. And you can have a loan privilege on 401k plans that you can't have on a simple IRA. So you could borrow against the account balance. Now, a solo 401k is designed only for one person business, sole proprietor or a single employee and a spouse. So that's the only time you can use a solo 401k. Those are really easy to administer, and that's kind of the benefit of them, where other 401k plans, you have to do more administration, more tax reporting, a little bit more complicated when you have multiple employees and you have to meet testing for discrimination rules and Department of Labor rules. But if you're just a single person and have a spouse, you can do a solo 401k, and you can put in up to $58,000 into something like that. If you're over age 50, there are some catch-up contributions as well. So you can get an extra $6,000 in there. And then the last one here on the end, defined benefit plans. Defined benefit plans, they're a little less common today than they used to be for big companies, but they're becoming really popular for small companies. Because if you're an older employee, older business owner, and maybe you have some younger employees, you could really upfront a lot of money in the last couple of years before you retire. We're talking like $200,000 that you could put away into these, but you have to also contribute for all of the employees. And so defined benefit plan is basically creating a pension for your business that you're going to fund for several years, like 5 years before you retire. And since you're trying to hit a certain target later on, the funding opens up significantly. Like you can put a lot of money into those types of plans. So those are some of the small business savings vehicles that you can use. And obviously there's also just a traditional IRA or a Roth IRA you could also consider. Those have a $6,000 maximum contribution. Any questions on these before I move on? If you want to throw in the chat, we'd be happy to answer any questions about those types of funding vehicles. And we've just got one more section here to cover. I think we're almost done. Yeah, got a couple minutes. All right, so the last part of this, what if you are going to stay in the business a little bit? This is the hierarchy. I like this little pyramid, right? At the bottom here, if you're going to stay active indefinitely, potential landmines for everyone. Okay, so since you've owned the business, made all the decisions for so many years, the new owners or the new managers or whoever's taking over that business, you may not like how they're doing it, and there might be conflict there, and not the best exit strategy if you're going to keep coming into work, coming to the business. One of my favorite shows is Pawn Stars, and the old man, he kept coming in there and messing with the kids in the business. So definitely landmines that could be there. You could exit, but you could earn a consulting fee. Could be good for the outgoing owner. Maybe not so good for the new ownership because they've got to pay you, right? You could act as a silent partner. So could be good for the outgoing owner and the new ownership if you structure it properly. Or generally the best strategy here is you exit with no more ties to the business, and they can take it and run with it as the successor. All right, so 5 simple ways, right? Envision what you want your retirement to look like. Put it on paper. What is the cost to do all of those things you want to do later on in life, the lifestyle that you're accustomed to now, and the things you want to do later. Determine what income you could get from the value of your business. Okay, if you're going to sell that business, what is that realistically going to generate for you in terms of income later on? Understand your exit strategy and how that could impact the income later, especially if you sell to somebody who's maybe not as competent and you got an installment sale and maybe that doesn't work out very well. You may have to adjust your lifestyle. Know and use the retirement saving vehicles outside of your business. And then document how you're going to, what your roles and your responsibilities will be once you leave that business. So if there's any questions, we'll be happy to answer them in the chat. But with that, we can turn it back over to Planne.
Thank you guys so much. Please take note of their contact information. It was also put in the chat very early on, so you can scroll back up and copy and paste to go ahead and save that. We will be sending out this program to everyone that attended, so you'll have a copy of everything there as well. You guys have been amazing. We have one more series to go, and it's going to be next week, same day, Wednesday, same time. So please go ahead and register for that. Eileen, would you mind putting the link to that event in the chat so people can grab it?
Yes.
Okay, great. And if we could move our slides forward so I can talk about our services.